Alrighty, welcome to the 101st edition of Before the Battle, here live on YouTube. My name is Nick Baldwin of BloodyElbow.com. I'm joined as always by MMAfighting.com's Jed Meshew and MMAsucker.com's Wes Riddle. Jed, how are you?
I'm doing so damn well because I did it, boys. I said I was going to do it, and I did it. Call me Mystic Meshew out here. I'm the champ. I said it. I said it didn't matter if there were 5 other people competing against me. I'm the best there was, the best there ever has been, and I proved it. Champ. 3 belts, 1 on each shoulder and the waist. Suck it.
This is what I feared of. Last week, I predicted that you wouldn't take home 1 belt. You took home all 3, so I was dead wrong in every area entirely. But this is what I was afraid of. I didn't want you to be able to go off on us like this and on Daniel Levy, Go Paulo, Mike Bigger Rhodes. You had competition last week more than usual, and you still came through with flying colors. Unbelievable. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But Wes, firstly, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I've seen some better days, but for the most part, I'm doing good. Looking forward to the weekend because I really don't have much to do besides just, I guess, watch fights tomorrow and study for my next final that I have. I'm finishing up with halfway through my last semester of college, which I'm really happy for, and I'm going to be able to go home at the end of next weekend. So I'm pretty pumped. Get to see some of my family and take a little break. So besides that, I'm looking forward to talking some fights. We got a pretty good fight card tomorrow, and I'm down to talk about them. So let's get to it.
I've seen some better days as well, simply because Jed Meshew is the triple champ, and Wes, you and I, Daniel, Go, Paulo, Mike Big Rhodes, all came up really short last week. And last weekend we had UFC Fight Night 126 from Austin, Texas. In the main event, Donald Cowboy Cerrone gets back into the winning column for the first time since December 2016 with a first-round knockout win over Yancy Medeiros. 2 seconds left in the round, and it was stopped by the referee, and that was all she wrote. Cowboy back in the W column. You also had Derek Lewis with a bit of a come-from-behind victory in that 3rd round against Marcin Tybura, knocking him out. We had James Vick extend his winning streak. Sage Northcutt barely won. We had some other fun fights. Overall, the card was really entertaining. Jed, let's go to you for our results for our picks, our DraftKings, our underdog pick of the week, and our post-fight bonus predictions. What do you got for us?
Well, your heavyweight champ of the week, the picks title, goes to me, shockingly, since I am all 3 champs. I went 9-3, a very commendable record. My misses were on Joby Sanchez. I think all 6 of us missed on Joby Sanchez. We, in fact, did. Everyone had Joby Sanchez. Joby Sanchez did not do anybody a favor. I also missed on Gordon, and then in the main event, I took Yancy Medeiros. I was incorrect there. Wes and Nick, both of you, very respectable showing. Many weeks, 8-4 might be good enough to get you the top spot. Was not for this week because I am so dominant. Wes missed on Joby Sanchez, Gordon, Peterson, and Alves were the other misses for Wes. And Nick, you missed on Joby Sanchez again, and Gordon. All 3 of us missed on those 2. You missed on Moraes and Alves to round out your 4 misses there. To our guest pickers, our pickers of previous years, Daniel Levy kind of took that, also going 8-4. He missed on Joby Sanchez, Peterson, and then Tybura and Medeiros. Mike Biggie Rhodes went 6-6, 50%. Moraes, Sanchez, Camozzi, Gordon, Alves, and Medeiros were his misses. Go Paulo, a lot of work to do. 5-7, a losing record in the picks contest. Josh Berkman, he felt hesitant, sort of did it just to do it, so maybe he went 6-6. He missed Berkman, Moraes, Joby Sanchez, Peterson, Alves, Tybura, and Medeiros. Moving on to our post-fight bonuses, there's a bit of an asterisk next to my triple champ. I do share a title with Go Paolo, who also got 2 of the post-fight bonus predictions correct. He predicted Davis Peterson as your fight of the night, and his underdog pick of the week was Ferreira. Ferreira obviously got himself with a hand raised. So
Hold on, 1 second. Wasn't I the bonus champion before last weekend after Romero? So technically, you're just like the 2.5 champ. You're not the triple champ, Jed.
No, how am I not? What do you mean? How? You only have one post-fight bonus. I have 2 this week. I beat you.
No. You beat me, but as you said, Paulo is still. I know he's not here.
Yeah, but Paulo isn't here to claim the belt. It's my fucking belt. Deal with it.
We gave the belts to Wes Riddle when he wasn't here, and
but Wes Riddle comes on the show and is an active member of the team. Go Paulo was a guest picker for the 100th episode.
Hey, all I'm saying, Go Paulo's done more episodes of these than you have, but all right.
Okay, well. I'm going to still take it because I have the score sheet. So I got 2 belts here.
Only 2. Now you're going down from 3 to 2.5 to 2?
2 so far. We're working our way to the 3rd one as well. I got two predictions for my post-fight bonuses correct. I had Cerrone and Medeiros' fight of the night. That was a miss. I did correctly predict Derek Lewis to get a post-fight bonus, and my underdog pick was Curtis Molinder came through for me there. So 2 is enough to get the belt this week. Wes Riddle, he did spike. Do props to him. Spiked the fight of the night. Davis Peterson missed on his bonuses of Cerrone and Vic, and his underdog Peterson did not get it done. Nikolai, your underdog pick of the week, Derek Lewis, came through. Cerrone, Medeiros, Gordon, and Neal did not. As far as the others, Daniel Levy got 1. His underdog pick of Fahea came cashed. Go Paulo, already mentioned. And Mike Biggie Rhodes sadly did not get any post-fight bonuses correct. As far as our DraftKings teams go, because I did not keep track as well as I should have of our guest lecturers, as we want to call them, I suppose, because I did not invite them to join our game. I am not 100. I feel like I beat both of them because I had an excellent showing. But I know for a fact that I did beat you 2 gentlemen. Our standings with a very strong lead, 496.5 points. I picked 5 winners, big-time winners, and Yancy Medeiros kind of brought me down. Wes Riddle, pretty decent showing still, 360 points. Yancy Medeiros brought him down, and the Peterson and Alves didn't do him huge favors there, but a great showing from Pechota. Vic and Derek Lewis, respectable showing for him. Nikolai bringing up the rear, 239.5 points. Gordon got you only 4 points. Medeiros hung out to dry. Moraes hung out to dry. Joby Sanchez, 0.5 points. So a rough showing from you, Nick, but I'm sure it's another week, another opportunity, and I've done very little prep for this card, so maybe that's just the window you need to take one of the many belts that I have around my waist at this point.
Well, if being on the same page will beat you, then you're right. Yes.
Hey, let's get to it. We don't have enough time to waste. It's Friday night. The fights are in less than 24 hours.
It's Friday night, and we should be doing other things besides talking to each other on a Google Hangouts called Before the Battle. But nonetheless, that is what we're doing. And let's dive right in. UFC on Fox 20 goes down from Orlando, Florida, tomorrow night. I don't even know what the arena is. I don't know. The Orlando Arena, the Amway Center. I feel like the Amway Center makes sense. That might be somewhere completely different. I don't really care. It's going down from Orlando. That's all that really matters. We have Josh Emmett, Jeremy Stevens, featherweight fight in the main event. Title eliminator at 115 pounds. Jessica Andrade versus Tisha Torres. Overall, a good card. I mean, it's on Big Fox. Some people have criticized it, like the last Big Fox card in January, for not being terrific, but I like the card quite a bit, and I think we're going to see some good action tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's go down to the UFC Fight Pass early prelims as usual and start there. They kick off at a rather early time, as usual for Big Fox cards, 4:15 p.m. Eastern, 1:15 p.m. Pacific. We go to the bantamweight division to kick things off. Albert the Warrior Morales welcomes Manny the Bermudez Triangle Bermudez to the cage, to the octagon for the very first time. Jed, let's go to you first. Do you like Morales or the favorite Manny Bermudez to win his debut?
I always do feel a little bit suspect when a guy making his debut who's not really like a great prospect. Is the favorite, but like I am kind of impressed that Albert Morales has somehow decided he gets to keep a job in the UFC. I think it's questionable whether he did beat Andre Sukumta back in their
His
fight
last fight should have gone his way, and it didn't, though. For
last
what it's worth.
year. I don't really recall the Benito Lopez fight, but whatever. I'm looking at it. I see it's a unanimous decision. Losing to Brett Johns is fine, and I guess really losing to Tommy Almeida is fine too. But like, I don't know. He is just not really an impressive dude. And for what it's worth, while I don't particularly think for like I almost called him Dennis Bermudez, Jesus. Well, I don't think Manny Bermudez is like a future champion or something. He's young. He's got some potential. I think he's a pretty good finisher. Um, can fight sort of all over the place and in transition. And I'm just basically fading Albert Morales. I don't know. I don't like him. I don't really know why, but I just don't. So give me Manny Bermudez with let's go submission somewhere in the first half of the fight.
I like that pick. I too am not really high on Albert Morales right now. It's just ever since he made his UFC debut, there's not really been anything that's super impressed me about his game. And even the close fights like the Sukumtov fight and even the Benito Lopez fight, he showed a lot of holes in his game. I like what I'm seeing out of Manny Bermudez. He's on a good win streak. Jed mentioned it. He has a lot of finishes on his record, quite a bit by submission in recent fights. I think he had a split decision win over, I might be wrong, but Sal Almeida. Somebody can fact check me on that. But Sal Almeida is a decent fighter for the most part. Probably his most notable win on his record. But I think he's a talented guy. I think he's got some stuff to prove. Still young. He's my age, 23. And Morales, as Jed mentioned too, just nothing's really stood out to me with his game that makes me think that he's going to be able to improve so far. I need to see more, and really I haven't seen any change since his UFC debut to now. So I'm going to take Manny Bermudez in this one. I think I'm going to take I like Jed's pick by early finish by submission, but in the end I went with the decision. I feel like just this lower weight class might see the potential of going to there. So Manny Bermudez is my pick over Albert Morales.
Yeah, I'm going to complete the hat trick in this one. Give me Manny Bermudez to win his debut. I'll go with the submission. Basically here, Albert might be the better striker. He could hang with – I mean, I think Manny could probably hang with him a little bit on the feet. Morales probably has the advantage in the striking department, but this really comes down to if Bermudez gets it down, that's not very good for the Warrior. I think he ultimately does. Morales puts himself in a lot of bad positions just to go, for offense that he doesn't really need to. Just in general, I don't know how great his fight IQ is. He seems to have some tools in his tool bag, and I feel like he could be a better fighter than he is. I honestly don't know where he trains. I feel like, though, maybe training at a bigger camp than...
Isn't he a Black House guy?
He might be. I don't know. Whatever it is, though, I feel like, yeah, honestly, maybe it is. I don't remember ever hearing about that. I feel like he's training at a smaller gym. And if that's the case, I think he should go to a big gym. I think that could suit him pretty well. And I feel like he has these skills to be a pretty okay fighter, but just right now, this isn't really a fight I'm going to pick Morales in or would want to. So give me Manny Bermudez. I like him by submission. I'll go in round number 2. We drop down to the flyweight division. Eric Shelton taking on Alex Perez. Alex Perez, of course, is the only fighter on this card to miss weight this morning. He tipped the scales at 126.5 and then 127 pounds on second attempt. So I don't get that, but that's fine. He still missed weight just by a little bit, though. So that's kind of, we don't know how that'll affect them, because sometimes when guys blow weight by a big amount, that just sort of means that they stop cutting. But I always am a little concerned when they miss by like a pound, because that means they didn't stop cutting, but they were so dehydrated they literally couldn't cut a single other pound. So take that for what it's worth. Wes, I'll flip the script a little bit and go to you for this one. Who do you like, Showtime or the no nickname?
I
Alex
like
Perez?
it. Dynamic. Mixing it up. I'm a big fan. Keeping us on toes.
Yeah, I like switching it up. I think this is a pretty good fight. I think both guys have a decent amount of potential that maybe one day in the future they're going to be able to show something. It's a pretty interesting fight. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards Eric Shelton, and I know a lot of people are taking Alex Perez, but I'm a little bit just thinking about this matchup. I feel like Perez focuses quite a bit on his submission game and looking for takedowns, but I feel like when Eric Shelton's pretty offensively sound with his takedown with offense and also his defense too, I should say. I think he's a really good fighter and a tough one to beat. He's had a few pretty close fights in the UFC so far, 2 split decision losses, the first 2, and got a really dominating win in his last one over Janelle Alsa. But I think that this just isn't really the best matchup for Perez, seeing how he relies quite a bit off his submission game. And a lot of the times he's not really doing a lot off his back. It's more so when fighters make mistakes for maybe shooting for a takedown, which Shelton definitely has the potential of doing. But I think Shelton's just a little bit more intelligent than some of the fighters that Perez has fought. And I was really impressed with his last fight. As I mentioned, I'm going to be taking Shelton in this one. Perez may be able to pull something out. Also, I haven't really seen a whole lot of his fights besides his 2 in the UFC, and I think maybe one fight beforehand, but I haven't checked him out recently. I just remember more specifically Eric Shelton doing pretty good work in his last fight, and I think he's got a lot of potential. Alex Perez too, but Shelton's going to be my pick in this one. I think he's just going to utilize some takedowns in there and probably pull off a unanimous decision, maybe 29-28 victory.
Yeah, I'm basically feeling pretty much in lockstep with Wes here. I really like Shelton, man. I think this guy is just got a ton of potential. He got a little bit of short shrift when he came to the UFC. He was in the Tough House, right? I'm not making that up. Am I making it up?
No, you're right on that.
Yeah, he's in the Tough House, and like performed well in the Tough House. He lost to the eventual winner, like by a majority decision as I'm looking at this right now. So like, yeah, and Tim Elliott's a top 10 guy. He fought him very competitively. Came in 2 other very, very well respected flyweights, Alexander Pantoja, Jared Brooks, were his debutantes, and he went to split decisions with both of them. Like, this guy is a young guy who's still developing his game a lot of ways, and he is already being very competitive with some of the better guys in the division. And when we saw him finally get I don't want to call it softball, but a guy who he should be fighting in Janelle Lausa, he won pretty handily. I feel that this is just kind of a logical progression up for him. His boxing is much better than Alex Perez's. Perez is going to need to work takedowns to win here. He can probably have some. Eric Shelton isn't like the best takedown defender, but I think more. I just think I believe more in his ability to box up Alex Perez on the feet and avoid a majority of the takedowns than for Alex Perez to close the distance on him and get to work on the ground. So give me Eric Shelton by decision.
And interestingly, Alex Perez opened as the favorite, but with the weight miss, I would assume is the main reason. He's actually a slight plus 100 underdog now, so the line flipped just by a little bit. So just for any bettors out there that, I don't know, like either side, or maybe you missed the boat on Shelton at plus money, or maybe you're liking Perez at plus money now, I am going to go on the flip side as you guys. I'm going to go Alex Perez, the now underdog in this fight. This comes down to Eric Shelton's takedown defense. That's basically the whole fight, if we're being honest. If he can keep it standing and not allow Perez to take him down, Eric Shelton's probably going to box Alex Perez up, as you said, Jed. I mean, he's the better striker. He's a bit more fluid on the feet, but it comes down to, does it happen? Does this fight play out on the feet? And I think there will be some striking exchanges. Of course, it's an MMA fight. The fight starts on the feet, but I think Perez will have some success getting him down to the ground. Shelton isn't the best defender of takedowns, and so I just haven't seen enough from Shelton to believe that he can stay standing against a pretty good grappler in Alex Perez. So I like Alex Perez actually by submission here. I'll go some sort of submission in round number 2. We move up a little bit to the bantamweight division. We got Haniaya taking on Russell Doan. Jed, you like Brazil or the U.S.?
Sorry, I was finishing my pizza. Give me Haniaya. He is a really good fighter who is one of those guys that's perennially underrated because he'll put together a bunch of good wins but pick up a loss every once in a while that just kind of like makes you think his particular style of Demian Maia-esque grapple game with limited striking just isn't built for the big leagues or whatever, despite the fact that he has to have like 20 fights in the UFC and WEC combined at this point. And he's getting older. I don't even know how old he is, 34. And still doing them things, still getting wins. And this feels like Russell Doan, he got a rough run. He fought Alcantara, Sanders, Munoz, and Bektic back to back, which is a real tough string of people to fight there. And I guess that's why he got to keep a job despite losing to all four of them. But this just seems like he is kind of screwed here. Like, he's willing to grapple with people, and he's not a great defender of takedowns anyway, and he's willing to grapple him. Hani Yahya is an ADCC champion, one of the best grapplers, like pure grapplers that's ever moved into or that's ever competed in MMA on a wide scale basis. And I think this is just formulaic. Like, Ronnie Yahya is not a great wrestler, but he's good enough, and he shoots like a million times around, and eventually Russell Doan's just going to try and roll with him, and then he's going to get his back taken. So give me Hani Yahya with an early submission.
There's nothing else I really
choke.
Rear naked choke. There's nothing else I really need to add here. I mean, Jed was spot on with everything. Hani Yahya is very underrated. He's been around for so long in the game. He's only been finished by some of the best guys. He's only lost some of the best guys. And even the streak that he had beforehand, I mean, Matthew Lopez is a pretty good prospect and still a really talented fighter. He's up there at the top, just lost to Rafael Sunsao, but, I mean, he pretty much smothered him throughout the course of that fight, despite maybe a little flaw there in the first round. But besides that, he's really shown an impressive streak. Even the Joe Soto fight was pretty close. Just back and forth scrambles in that one, a pretty fun one. He's a really talented fighter. Russell Doan, on the other hand, it was a shock to me that he wasn't released after that 4-fight losing streak. I know he lost to Mirsad Bektic in the last fight, but then there's like a Gerard Sanders loss in there. Gerard's not the best fighter in the world. Pretty much relies just on wrestling, and was able to beat Doan in that one. So he's coming off a win over Kwan Ho Kwok, and I'm pretty sure he lost both in a row, and just pretty much was able to dominate him in that fight. So I like Hani Yahya in this one for the exact same reasons as Jed, and he's my pick by a first-round submission. Jed said a rear naked choke, so I'm going to go arm triangle.
Well, I'm out on an island all by myself yet again here. Give me Russell Doan for the pretty sizable upset in this one. It's tough going against a guy like Hani Yahya, especially because Russell Doan, let's be honest, he's not the best fighter in the world, and he never will be, but I like his stand-up here. I mean, Hani Yahya, his striking has developed a little bit, maybe actually more than Demian Maia has, but still not enough to stand with most fighters in the UFC. That's why Yahya, for the most part, his success comes on the ground because he's an extremely good grappler. If I'm being honest, probably one of the better grapplers in the UFC. But he's been around for a long time, and I was surprised to see he's only 33 years old right now, but he seems older than that in fight years. He's taken not a ton of damage, but he's just been around for so long. I feel like his time might be up either now or soon. And so that's just something to keep in mind, at least, for me picking Doan. I think Doan can keep it standing enough to be able to win the fight. He'll find himself on his back at one point or another in this fight. It just comes down to, can he get up? I know he got up from bottom position against Yuri Alcantara, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, the guy has some defensive ground skills. He just needs to put it to good use. And although Yahya might be a different type of threat than Alcantara, even though Yuri is pretty good on the ground himself. Tough fight to call, really close. If Yahya pulls it off, won't be shocked at all. But I'm going to go Doan to keep standing and maybe even hop on top of Yahya and look to pound him out. So, you know what? Let's go out on a big limb here and go Russell Doan via ground and pound TKO in round number 2. We move on. Somehow I just ended up on the Jake Ellenberger versus Wonderboy Thompson card from 3 years ago. Let me go a couple backs, and here we are. We go to the light heavyweight division. Smilin' Sam Alvey moving up in weight for the very first time. He's taking on newcomer Marcin Prashnio. Jed, do you like the newcomer from Poland, or does smiling Sam Alvey get back into the winning column?
Dude, Prachnio's going to beat the fuck out of Alvey. Like, just straight up. Sam Alvey moving up to light heavyweight. Feel like it's not a great idea because, I don't know, he is going to be undersized, and he is not like many of the other guys who I've suggested move up to light heavyweight that could take advantage of it being a thin division. He is just going to have to be knocking out bigger men because he really needs knockouts to do the thing. Yeah, Sam Alvey doesn't throw punches. He is literally a pure counter fighter. If you come in there and stare at him, he will stare back at you. You have to throw at him first. Fortunately, Prachnio is going to throw at him, but Prachnio is like a high-level world champion Savat, right? Or Kyokushin, Karateka, one of the two. I'm not 100% on which one. You know, he's got like a kick-fighting background, essentially. And he looks fucking dope on the feet. Can't wrestle for shit. If Sam Alvey decides he's going to come out here and go like Daniel Cormier on him, that would be interesting. Shit, maybe he could even do it. Sam Alvey has never – I don't think he's ever even tried to wrestle someone in the UFC. If so, I don't remember. His stats sure don't say that he has, at least. So, yeah, he's a striker who's fighting a much, much, much better striker. This can only end poorly for Sam Alvey, and I think since he's moving up in weight, he's going to be more prone to being knocked out. I know that's not a thing that happens to him a lot, but if Derek Brunson can get to him, I feel like Prachnio can also do it too. So give me Prachnio by KO in the 8-minute mark.
That's a good pick. I don't have much else to add on this one. Prachnio, I mean, he's a gamer. This guy loves to push forward. He's got wild striking technique. Jed said it. He utilizes kicks quite a bit in his fights. He has some crazy knockout victories, but he's also a really good striker. I mean, I have quite a bit of high expectations for him. I think he's a pretty talented fighter. Be interesting to see where it goes when this fight hits the ground. If Sam can ever get him down. But Jed said it. Sam Alvey doesn't wrestle. All he does is look for counter shots. Alvey is just not the best fighter in the world. And Prachnio's skills are just on a whole different level, I think. Even if Sam Alvey wins this fight, I personally think Prachnio is the better athlete all around. He's really dynamic in his game. But I'm pretty confident in him getting this one. Probably one of my more confident picks on the card. And I actually have him picked by a first-round knockout. I don't think Alvey's good under pressure. I know he does land counters and does get knockouts based off counters, but sometimes he reacts a little funny to heavy hitters. And Prachnio is definitely the heaviest hitter Sam Alvey's fought since he, I guess, faced Derek Brunson. And Derek Brunson knocked him out in, a few minutes. So I think Prachnio is definitely going to get the job done here. He's my pick by first-round knockout.
But, guys, he beat Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans is a former light heavyweight champion. Rashad Evans is a good fighter.
I mean, he was a good fighter.
Yeah, that last sentence you said is not true.
I know.
The first two are accurate. The last one is a dead lie.
He is a former champion, but yes, if you lose to Daniel Kelly and Sam Alvey and get outstruck by them, hate to say it, but yeah.
Losing to Dan Kelly is not a shame, but just straight up, Rashad Evans is not a good fighter.
Yeah.
He's just not.
Well, I'm going Prachnio here as well. The thing is, I mean, Sam Alvey is stepping up on short notice, but it is at 205. He's going to be a bit of a smaller man. Not actually as he doesn't have too much of a size disadvantage, so that's not going to be the end of the world for Smiling Sam, but he's just too inactive for my liking. He just sits back and waits, and, sometimes he's fun to watch, but more often than not, he's not. I got to go Prachnio here. I don't know tons about the guy. He seems really talented. He has a 13-2 record. The majority of his wins are by knockout. And everything I have heard from people who have done the research on Marcin Prachnio have said he's a good fighter. And, going up against Sam Alvey, who's stepping up in weight, as I said, not going to be the best night for Sam Alvey. I'll as well go Prachnio here by inside the distance. Some sort of ground-and-pound TKO. Why not? I've gone 3 straight second-round finishes on the Fight Pass early prelim card. Let's go 4 for 4, second-round TKO. With that, we move on to the Fox prelims, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific in the welterweight division. Fun fight, Ben Saunders versus Alan Jouban. Wes, I'll go to you first. Do you like Killer B or Brahma?
Man, I'm actually a pretty big fan of both these guys. Ben Saunders was one of the first guys that started watching in MMA, and I remember watching him back in the day, and I thought he was a really cool dude. I like his personality. I think he's a really fun guy to watch, especially when he gets you down on the ground. But I'm really not confident in picking him here. I think I can look back on the Peter Sabata fight and find a little bit of similarities from that, and thinking about how this one might go. Sabata's a really good athlete, and he was able to get the job done by just avoiding all of Ben Saunders' takedown attempts and outstruck him on the feet. And as we've seen in some of previous Ben Saunders fights, if he can't get you down, it seems like it's going to be a big problem. Alan Jouban, he's not the best defensive wrestler in the world, but I feel like it's going to be enough to where he can keep this fight standing on the feet and eventually be able to connect with something that gets him down. I'm a little bit worried about picking him, though, because we have seen Jouban's chin come suspect in recent fights. And I think the last one, there was the Nico Price one. I guess that was it. I don't think there was another one recent. Checking it real quick. Nico Price, before that, Gunnar Nelson, did get a win over Mike Perry. Mike Perry's a big name. Bilal Muhammad, a guy I think has a lot of talent, got a win over him. I just think that he, at this moment, despite the losses that we've seen, is just a little bit more technical and a little bit more intelligent. Ben Saunders, I feel like, is going to rely on that submission game. Jouban's going to try to keep it standing because that's where he knows he's going to be able to win the fight. So Alan Jouban's my pick. I'm taking him by second-round knockout, similar to what Peter Sabata did, over Ben Saunders, which I kind of hate doing because, like I said, I like Killer B, but I think Alan Jouban's going to be able to get the job done here.
Dude, this line astonishes me. Like, Alan Jouban should be a way bigger favorite. Ben Saunders has been washed for like 4 years. Like, honestly, I remember when he came back to the UFC from Bellator, I remember thinking, why is he, like, he's done. Like, Ben Saunders could hang it up now. Like, he had a good career. What are we even doing here? Like, it was after the Douglas Lima loss, but he just looked like a worse fighter. I mean, he came in, he got the really cool omoplata submission, but that's over somebody who's named Chris Heatherly. I don't know who that is. He beat Joe Riggs, who injured himself, and Joe Riggs is one of the sadder stories in mixed martial arts at the time. Was gone for a year, then came back, won a split decision over Kenny Roberts, got knocked out by Patrick Cote, submitted Jacob Volkman at an event that God knows what that is, and then beat Court McGee and lost to Peter Sabata. Like, that is not a who's who of people. He's done, man. Whereas, like, Alan Jouban's not a guy who's going to challenge for a title, but he's a fringe top, 20 guy. He beat Mike Perry, we'll talk about this Mike Perry later. I love Mike Perry as a fighter and think he's excellent. He beat Bilal Muhammad, like Wes said. That's a legit win. Like, he got choked out by Gunnar Nelson, got knocked out by Nico Price. Those guys are top welterweights. Like, Ben Saunders ain't that anymore. And there's just I don't see how Ben Saunders can win this fight. He would have to get him on the ground, and Ben Saunders isn't a great wrestler. Like, Ben Saunders' one real good skill is in the clinch, and Alan Jouban is a much better clinch fighter, like, than this iteration of Ben Saunders. Like, I think Jouban's going to fucking dust him. At range, he's going to put hands on him, and Ben Saunders is hittable, and his chin is not there anymore. So, yeah, give me Alan Jouban by something violent in the first 5 minutes.
I have nothing else to add. Alan Jouban knockout, round number 1. Ben Saunders, as you said, Jed, is not who he once was. He's had ups and downs, even just as of late, wins and losses. But even those wins, I mean, you mentioned decisions over Court McGee and Kenny Robertson. I remember maybe scoring the Court one for Court, and I know I scored the Robertson fight for Saunders, but a lot of people had to go on Kenny's way. I mean, when you have 2 of your most recent wins are both controversial, that's not great either. Alan Jouban's a better striker here. He's fresher. He's younger. He's taking less damage. He has a better chin, even though he is coming off a knockout loss himself. He hasn't won in over a year, December 2016, so he's going to have a fire under him as well to get back into winning column. Give me Alan Jouban here all day. Ben Saunders, he has skills. He's just physically not there anymore. So give me Alan Jouban by knockout in round number 1. We move to the strawweight division with Marina Moroz taking on Angela Hill. Number 14, Iron Lady from Ukraine or Overkill from the U.S. Jed, who do you like?
I mean, I think that I don't know what the odds are. I kind of want to look those up, but you got to take Angela Hill here, right? Yeah, she's the favorite. I mean, this is going to be a striking contest, and Angela Hill is a more consistent striker. She throws in combination and throws a lot of volume, and Marina Moroz doesn't. Like sometimes Marina Moroz just like doesn't throw. Like Danielle Taylor, who is tiny and in atom weight, basically just outworked her on the feet. Like that's how she won. Like if that happens, Angela Hill is definitely going to outwork her. So I think this is straightforward. Angela Hill, they're both going to throw punches. Angela Hill's going to throw more of them. I'd say that that's going to win her the rounds and win her the fight. Give me Angela Hill by decision.
I am going the same way in this one. Angela Hill's my pick. I watched her last.
Plus Wakanda Forever. I forgot to add that.
Say that one more time.
Wakanda Forever.
What's that mean?
At the weigh-in, she dressed like a character from the Black Panther movie. Sorry. It's been a long day.
I haven't seen the movie yet, but that's actually pretty cool. I like how she does stuff like that. I think it's pretty creative, her personality I think is one of the coolest. I mean, I really respect people like that. I think it's cool to be yourself and like kind of do your own thing, and that's definitely the definition of Angela Hill. She's so fun, so much fun to follow on Twitter. Follow her on there if you don't. But her personality is awesome, but also she's fun to watch fight. I mean, yeah, she doesn't always get finishes, but at least she's entertaining. She's going to want to stand and bang. The biggest reason I'm picking Angela Hill, though, in this fight is because of activity. I feel like Marina Moroz relies and kind of sits back a little bit too much. Angela Hill is a more kind of bouncy, a little bit more floaty, and also just a little bit more offensively sound. And Marina Moroz, I just question what she's going to do when trades happen. I feel like sometimes she just maybe fires like one punch at a time or maybe two, and that's it. But I don't like her inactivity. I don't think she's going to be able to get this one down to the ground. And I think Angela Hill's just going to be able to be the more effective fighter throughout the course of the 3 rounds and pick up a 30-27 decision victory.
I will complete the hat trick here. Give me Angela Overkill Hill to win a decision against Marina Moroz. She's a better striker. She's not super accurate, but I mean, nor is Marina Moroz. I think I don't know this will be the most entertaining fight, to be honest. Like it could be, but I feel like we're going to see quite some inaccurate striking here that could use some tightening up. But this is a contest that Hill should win. Marina Moroz, she needs to get Angela Hill to the ground to win this fight. She's a decent grappler. Hill, mostly is known for her striking skills and not so much in the grappling department. But I think Hill has what it takes to keep this one standing. So give me Angela Hill by decision here in a fair, not one-sided completely. Like I don't think she's going to dominate Marina Moroz, but I don't think after 15 minutes there'll be much argument that Moroz wants. Give me Hill by unanimous decision. We move up a little bit, stay in the women's classes, the women's bantamweight division. Sarah McMahon taking on Marion Renault, number 7 versus number 8. Interesting matchup in the 135-pound weight class. Wes, I'll go to you now. McMahon or Renault?
I think there's a chance Renault could get a victory here, but I'm pretty confident in Sarah McMahon, to be honest. I just thinking about Renault and all of her UFC fights, I'm pretty certain she's been taken down almost every single fight in her career. And the fact that Bethe Correia was able to get her down twice, a girl that pretty much relies off just her striking. When you look at somebody like Sarah McMahon, who has so many credentials in wrestling back dating to the 2004 Olympic Games, it's hard to not think that she's going to be able to get this fight down.
Wes is over here telling lies. Neither Jessica Andrade nor Alexis Dufresne took her down.
2 people. All right, 2 people. Which right. I guess besides that, though.
Granted, she triangle choked Jessica Andrade in like 2 minutes, but still.
Yeah, true. I do remember that fight because I think Andrade was like I'm definitely the better fighter. This is going to be a piece of cake. And then she went out there, like took her down or maybe didn't take her down, but got choked out so fast. I do remember that. But still, I mean, like Bethe took her down twice. Milana Dudavea took her down twice. Oh, my gosh. And, I mean, she's all right, but I think that Sarah McMahon is just going to be able to use takedowns. And I think she's got a pretty durable chin for the most part, and she's solidly effective on the feet. And I think all those tools are going to be used just a little bit more in her power over Marion Renault. For that, I think Sarah McMahon might be able to get a submission, but I did decide in the end I'd go with the decision. I feel like that's a likely pick, and probably one of the more likely picks if she doesn't really try to work too much or if Renault doesn't make too many mistakes. But off her back. But Sarah McMahon's my pick. I'm going to take her by a decision. I think it'll be pretty decisive, but Renault could definitely pull something off her back. She's really crafty, as we've seen in the past, and her submission skills are no joke. But should be an interesting fight, but I think McMahon's going to take this one.
Yeah, Sarah McMahon's going to win. Wes has it nailed. Sarah McMahon's going to wrestle. And on top, like in top position, she's not going to get tapped out by Marion Renault. Maybe Renault has to sweep and submit here. She has an active guard game, but is far, far, far more likely that Sarah McMahon just plants her on the ass and punches her in the face a bunch until Marion Renault gives up or 15 minutes elapses. I believe it will probably be the latter. Give me Sarah McMahon by clear, kind of boring decision.
Yeah, I'll agree here. Give me Sarah McMahon by decision. Don't see this one being super entertaining. She's going to wrestle, as you guys talked about. She'll look for the submissions. I don't think she'll get one. I think she'll mostly just use her top control to grind out the Marion Renault. Here, though, Renault, if she keeps it standing, she's probably the better striker. She might have a bit more power behind her punches. Not to say that she has much of a chance of knocking McMahon out. I don't really see that happening. But I could see her dropping McMahon down with some leg kicks. And she does have a small reach advantage. So something to consider. But ultimately, I think McMahon will have success with the takedowns and just be able to grind this one out. So give me Sarah McMahon with a rather one-sided decision victory. We move on to the final prelim fight on Fox. We got the former UFC bantamweight champion Renan the Baron Barão taking on 2-1 in the UFC, Brian Boom Kelleher. I think the story of this one, the fact is Brian Kelleher has a shot in this fight. Not to say I'm picking him. We'll find out soon, but he has a good chance. He's not a huge underdog, and he shouldn't be. The line is right. He's an underdog. That's fair. But the odds makers are definitely giving him respect here. But the story is Renan Barão's he's gone down so much. And it's really unfortunate because he was at one point one of the best fighters on planet Earth. And now he's on the prelims fighting a kind of a guy that, well, A, Brian Kelleher hasn't been around for very long. And B, at the end of the day, he's a good fighter. But, it's just amazing to me that if this was happening 3 years ago, it wouldn't even be a contest, but now it's competitive. Who do you like here, Jed?
I'm going to take Brian Kelleher. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it might be a bad pick. And the reasonably, Renan Barão should be the betting favorite. That makes sense. But yeah, Renan Barão looks like dog shit now. He barely beat Philippe Nover, who is Philippe fucking Nover. He has been dealing with weight struggles. I know he made weight for this one, but he's returning to bantamweight after going up to featherweight for some time. And I don't know, that whole camp really seems to be the whole Nova União thing seems to be in just disarray. And I just don't trust any of the incidentals here. Renan Barão hasn't looked good basically since Faber, the second Faber win after he got busted up by Dillashaw. He beat Mitch Gagnon and Philippe Nover since 2014. That's fucking rough. And Kelleher got tapped by Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera is a really sneaky submission grappler, actually. If Renan Barão somehow gets Kelleher down, which is fairly difficult to do, actually, then things could change. But I don't know. I won't be shocked if Barão kind of looks good again. And I think his leg kicks are the type of consistent offense that Kelleher lacks. That could be a game changer and dictate the fight. But I sort of like Brian Kelleher to come do some wild and crazy creative shit out there and throw some right hands out of his back pocket. And suddenly Renan Barão is just kind of looking like shit because he's not good at fighting anymore. Give me Brian Kelleher. I think he'll just take a competitive decision because I do think Barao is a better fighter, but I think, one guy seems to be improving, the other guy definitely declining. So give me the improving fighter, Brian Kelleher, for the upset.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Wes, we're picking all the same people. This is bullshit.
Well, I know it does suck, and it was funny too because I was hoping that you would pick Henna Burrell. I was hoping Nick would pick Henna Burrell because I'm actually taking Brian Kelleher too, but more so for the reasons Jed, like you said. Also, the fact I didn't have really, I don't think I have any underdogs picked on this card, but I did think
Shelton
Kelleher
is technically an underdog.
I guess, yeah, that's kind of surprising.
Well, right now he's not.
It depends on the book. You can find either man an underdog, but more books have him as the slight underdog.
Okay.
But I think Kelleher is a decent pick, and Jed, you hinted on it too. Like it may not be, maybe Hannon's going to be able to take him down over and over and get those takedowns, but we just haven't seen a lot of activity out of him. I question that chin. Brian Kelleher's striking is really underrated. I mean, he has about 6 or 7 knockouts on his resume. 7 out of his 18 victories, 8 by submission. Of course, that guillotine choke is something special. Now, do I think he's going to be able to take Henna Burrell down? Probably not, because not a lot of people have taken Henna Burrell down in his career, even though he's kind of on this downslope. But I do think that the downslope that we've seen from Henna Burrell, even with the victory that was pretty close against Felipe Nover, it's hard to go with a guy that's losing in the way he's losing. And I mean, the top competition like Jeremy Stevens, TJ Dillashaw, and Aljamain Sterling. But then again, the only 2 wins we've seen in the recent years have come over Felipe Nover and Mitch Gagon, or however you say his name, and neither of them are in the UFC anymore. So my pick is going to be Brian Kelleher. I was honestly thinking there could be a chance we see a knockout in this one, maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. I think his striking is underrated, but I did decide to go with a decision if he doesn't really connect well. But if he does keep it on the feet, Jed, I think you mentioned it too. He has a pretty solid takedown defense. We don't see Kelleher off his back too often, so I think Kelleher is going to put up just a little bit more in this one, either by, like I said, a 2nd or 3rd round knockout, or as I have picked on MMA Playground and UFC.com, a unanimous decision.
Another close fight, and another fight in which I am on an island all on my lonesome. Give me the former bantamweight champion Henna Burrell in this fight to defeat Brian Kelleher. Close fight, as I said, which is, again, I don't want to keep saying this, but it's really just crazy to think that Kelleher could really win this fight. Basically here, I think Henna Burrell has a striking advantage. He's the better striker. I mean, I'm trying to think of, okay, 2018 Henna Burrell, not a very good fighter. Like I'm still thinking, okay, this guy, knocked out Eddie Wineland. This guy knocked out Uriah Faber. This guy was a tremendous fighter. So 2018 Burrell, I mean, is going to be competitive. I feel like, though, he does have the advantage on the feet. He still has his leg kicks. He still has some of his flashy stuff. And at the end of the day, he still has some of those striking tools that he's had in his tool bag, but he just can't seem to put it all together. He's not as active. He doesn't throw as much, and he just had a lot of wear and tear, and that's clear. I mean, the more damage you take, the worse you're going to be, for lack of a better word. Brian Kelleher does some crazy stuff on the ground, and so he might. I mean, in general, Henna Burrell is probably the better submission threat, but Brian Kelleher does some crazy stuff. As I said, he could throw Henna Burrell off and catch him on the ground. Maybe. I mean, otherwise, I don't know how Kelleher actually wins this fight. If he wins, it's probably because Henna Burrell is just so done, like ridiculously done. And if that's the case, that's fine. He's had a good career. He was the champion. But now we would really know he's done. I'm going to say he still has a little bit left, at least enough to beat a guy like Brian Kelleher. So give me Henna Burrell by decision. I think it'll be pretty competitive. I don't see it being super fun, but it's not going to be the worst fight in the world. Burrell by decision. We move on to the 4th fight main card, kicking off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We kick things off in the welterweight division with a super fun one. Platinum Mike Perry, got to get that one right, taking on Max Payne Griffin. Jed, Perry, the pretty big favorite here, one of the bigger favorites on the card, or Max Griffin?
Yeah, Mike Perry's going to knock him out. It's really, really easy. Max Griffin is a fun fighter, Max Griffin is a defensive liability, and by that I mean I think I could land punches on Max Griffin, assuming I could not get knocked out by the first one he throws. Mike Perry can certainly land punches on him, and Mike Perry, for whatever you think about him, has a real good fucking chin. Like this is just easy. Like they're gonna trade shots. Both dudes are gonna land hard. One dude can eat the shots, and one dude can't. And the dude that can't is gonna fall over and die, and that dude's Max Griffin. The only other thing I'll say is Perry's really, really good at fighting. Not really good yet, but has the potential to be really good. This is clearly a thing he is supposed to do, and I worry that the UFC does not know how to handle him because he is the most popular fighter on this card. Like all the interviews this week are with him. They're not with any of the other fighters on this, despite the fact that a title eliminator is in the co-main event. Like Mike Perry is a guy that they see star power in, and so they're just going to keep throwing him in against fighters that are better than him and hope he ends up turning into something great. And more often than not, that'll just burn him out. I hope that they don't do that and they let him just beat the shit out of some scrubs for a year or two to actually develop the rest of his game out. Mike Perry by first round KO, though. That's where I'm going.
I like that pick too. I would say if I feel like we've seen Mike Perry knocked out before in an MMA fight, there could be a really good chance Max Griffin could get the job done here. And to be honest, I really think that there is a possibility. I think Max Griffin's really underrated with his skill set. But, Jed, you mentioned the one thing that is the reason I'm actually picking Mike Perry, and that's the fact that Griffin does not have a lot of defense with his striking, despite being pretty good with his kickboxing and even his boxing skills. Mike Perry is just a little bit more technical in that aspect. And I pretty much see and envision something kind of similar. I think that these two are going to be able to trade quite a bit. And if the chins hold up, this is probably going to be the fight of the night. But I really question Max Griffin's chin, especially after watching the Zaleski dos Santos fight. He just got hit a little bit too much for my liking. And Zaleski's a great fighter too. I mean, he's really underrated with his skill set as well. But I think that Mike Perry should be able to land a better punch that puts Max Griffin out. So Perry's my pick by second round knockout. I should probably be picking first round because I think that these two are going to trade. But I will not be surprised at all if Max Griffin wins this one, to be honest, just because he hits pretty hard too. And maybe if they're just swinging for the fences, he can connect one. But we haven't seen Mike Perry in a situation like that. We've seen Griffin in similar situations like that. So Perry's my pick here by a second round knockout.
Yeah, give me Platinum Mike Perry here. Pretty easy fight to call, to be honest. I like Max Griffin as a fighter. He's super fun to watch. But as you guys both said, he doesn't have very good striking defense. Not something you need. Or a good chin. And I'm not even sure Max Griffin has a very good chin. He was rocked really badly against Zaleski dos Santos. And dos Santos isn't known for his knockout power. So if he can rock Griffin, Mike Perry can put him to sleep. So give me Mike Perry by knockout in round number 1. Nothing else to say. This is going to be a fun fight while it lasts, but I don't think it'll last all that long. We move to a pivotal light heavyweight fight. Next, we go to Ovin St. Preux taking on the most magical man on the planet, Ilir Latifi. He is the underdog, though. Tough fight for him. OSB, of course, former interim light heavyweight title challenger, whatever that means, also known as former John Jones victim. Although he did go to decision with him, as we all know. Jed, do you like OSP or Latifi?
Didn't we talk about this on the circus this week?
We might have.
I feel like we did because I feel like I was very adamant in saying that Ovin St. Preux is going to beat the hell out of Ilir Latifi. Because do you know – because we did, because I asked you this important question, so I'll ask it again. So the people who didn't listen to the circus, by the way, shame on you. Listen to the circus when I'm on it. When I'm on it, not when anybody else is. Do you know
not even West?
Who Ilir Latifi's best win is?
Well, probably John Vellante.
Maybe Tyson Pedro. Anyway,
Pedro, yeah.
Both of those fighters are not very good at the fighting. Every time Ilir Latifi has fought somebody who's even marginally good at the fighting, Ryan Bader, Jan Blachowicz, Gegard Mousasi, Emmanuel Newton. He is lost. Ovince St. Preux is good at the fighting, and thus Ovince St. Preux is going to win. Now, I don't think he's going to get a Von Flue choke again, because I would hope that Alil Latifi's not that bad at fighting. But OSP lost to Volkan Ozdemir. He got knocked out by Jimmy Manoa, who's good at fighting and can knock out people. And he lost to John Jones and Glover Teixeira and Bader, maybe. But, like, he's lost to great fighters, but also beaten good fighters. Alil Latifi has lost to every good fighter he's faced, beaten mostly not good fighters, and become a minor internet darling amongst the MMA intelligentsia because he took a fun photo riding shirtless on a horse. Yeah, OSP is way better fighter, and OSP is probably going to win. I imagine it just goes to decision because sometimes OSP will just like not do violent things for a while, and then Alil Latifi will just kind of stare at him. But yeah, give me a really disappointing win for Ovince St. Preux, who is quietly staking a claim for a title shot.
I'm a huge OSP fan, to be honest. I love this guy. I think he's got a cool personality, and he's looked really impressive, especially in these last 3 fights, even though they haven't – I'll say this about the Corey Anderson fight. Yeah, he was probably losing that fight up until the last round where he got the head kick knockout, which was absolutely sick. But even though he was getting taken down in that fight –
Derek Lewis was losing the fight until he won the fight, and that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And I was going to say, too, with that fight, OSP looked – even though he kept getting taken down, he looked great on the feet. And another thing, his cardio looked miles, and I mean miles improved from anywhere he's ever been. That's always been his biggest hole in his game. And he still looks pretty fresh, to be honest, there in the last round. Not great, but it definitely looked improved from where we've seen back when he was fighting guys like Jimmy Manoa. And I think it was like the Glover fight. My gosh, he got stopped pretty quick on that one. And even Pat Cummins, he got a late knockout but started to get really tired. OSP, his cardio is improving, and I think that's been the biggest hole in his game that's hurt him. I think that Latifi is going to be able to keep this one on the feet. Or I should say OSP is going to keep this one on the feet. He's not going to be able to get Latifi down. No one can ever get Latifi down. But I think that Latifi's going to tire out pretty early. I don't really see him being able to land a lot of volume. Maybe he can get a takedown there in the first or second round, but I think OSP is going to take this one probably by decision, like you said, Jed. I think that Latifi is pretty durable for the most part. I mean, it took a knee by Ron Bader to knock him out. Mousasi couldn't knock him out. A body kick from Jan Blachowicz could, but that's a body kick, not completely different, but still different. I think OSP is going to get the job done here. My pick is a decision. I'd like to see a knockout, maybe late, but Latifi's pretty durable. And I think he's going to get the job done over Alil Latifi. So OSP is my pick.
Yeah, give me Ovince St. Preux here as well to complete the wonderful hat trick we have going here. He is a better fighter than Alil Latifi. It kind of pains me to say that, but it's just a fact. And he's so much bigger than Latifi. I mean, I watched the weigh-ins. I don't know if you guys did, but like the height advantage, it's just crazy. And the reach, I mean, 7 inches on reach, 5 on height. This guy is just going to box Alil Latifi up for 3 rounds. It's not going to be the most entertaining fight, but it'll be a good win for OSP, I think, and not a very great showing for Alil Latifi. If Latifi can get on top of St. Preux, yeah, maybe he can work some good offense, but he's not a great top control fighter, to be honest. Like, I feel like he's great at the actual takedown, but then when he gets on top, he doesn't do as much as you might want him to. And sometimes he can make it a little boring and just simply not pick up too many points, so to speak. So if he gets on top, fine. But on the feet, I mean, although he has power, he just sort of wings big shots and takes big breaks. I mean, he's not a combo fighter, nothing like that. OSP is a lot more, has more tools on the feet, and he should be able to pick him apart on the feet. So give me OSP via unanimous decision. We move on to the co-main event, strawweight title eliminator. Most likely, the winner will almost guaranteed fight the winner of Rose Namajunas versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk round 2. if that doesn't happen, if the winner of that doesn't fight the winner of this, I don't know what the UFC is doing. It is Jessica Andrade taking on Tisha Torres. Super fun one in the co-main event. And Jed, I know you think this should be the main event, so you're looking forward to this one. I'll get your pick first. Andrade from Brazil or Torres from down under. And what I mean by that, not Australia, but underneath Canada, the United States of America.
Yeah, this fight is a really excellent argument for the fact that sexism is alive and well in the UFC. This fight is very clearly the best fight from an objective measurement of the two competitors competing. It is very clearly the best fight as far as relevance and importance, and it is very clearly not being put in the main event because they are women. That's it. That's the story here. This is a fight between two fighters who, frankly, might both have a higher ranking in their respective divisions than either man in the main event. Off the top of my head, that might not be right, but I know Andrade is 2 in her division. She would only be immediately behind Jędrzejczyk, and Dude is 4. I would guess that Emmett is 4, and Stevens is 5 or 7 maybe. So if Tisha Torres is 4. Then this is really, really dumb. I don't know if Tisha Torres is 4. I could see Tisha Torres being like 5, 2, or 6. Either way, these women are more established than half of the main event because Josh Emmett shouldn't even be fucking ranked. Neither of those people are stars. I know some people, here's looking at you, Kevin Ioli, had the weirdest idea that Jeremy Stevens is built to be the next MMA star because he's been around in the UFC for like a decade. He's not a star yet. His most well-known moment after a decade in the UFC was not Tekken uppercutting Rafael dos Anjos, the dude who went on to become the lightweight champion. It was getting sunned by Conor McGregor in a press conference. This dude's not going to be a fucking star, Kevin Ioli. You've lost your damn mind. And putting him as the main event, all props to him. I like Jeremy Stevens. I'm very impressed by the fact that he essentially reinvented his career halfway through to become a way better fighter that has given him longevity in a second division. But this dude's never going to fight for a belt. He doesn't deserve to fight for a belt yet. Even with a win here, he won't deserve a title shot. And, like, this is just nonsense that he's main eventing this. Yeah, the co-main event is way better. Tisha Torres. I think the fight's sneaky interesting. Like, I'm picking Andrade. She's probably going to win. And frankly, it's probably going to be less. It's going to look a lot more like people think it's going to look than I think it's going to. And I think everyone's going to be wrong to have assumed that Andrade is just going to walk through Tisha Torres, even if that's what ends up happening. Because I think Tisha Torres actually is a really good outfighter and has developed pretty solid movement. And that's the thing that can kind of frustrate Andrade, who is just trying to come forward, get your back against the fence, and John Lineker your guts out with big punches and then slams. I think Torres can kind of stay on her bike a lot more and make that much harder for Andrade to work. At the end of the day, though, even if she doesn't kind of force exactly the fight that she wants, Torres is not going to bring the same type of high volume that Joanna Jędrzejczyk did to operate that style, or the power to kind of make it clear when she was landing effectively. She's going to pitter-pat her way and maybe land punches, but they are not going to be the punches that curry favor with the judges. And while Andrade might miss a lot of punches because she's lunging in, the ones she lands are going to be big and powerful. I do think eventually she's going to be able to get inside, lock her arms around the waist, and take Tisha Torres for a ride or two. I think Torres is going to give a good accounting of herself, but at the end of the day, there's a very real possibility that Jessica Andrade is the best flyweight in the world, considering Rose Namajunas just knocked out Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I think that might be a rock, paper, scissors scenario because I would absolutely pick Jessica Andrade to beat Rose Namajunas if they fought tomorrow. And I would, of course, pick Joanna Jędrzejczyk to win the rematch. And I think I'm going to take Rose when they, in fact, do rematch. So, Jessica Andrade could be right there in the title picture. I think a win here gets her a title shot because this should be a fucking title eliminator. Give me Jessica Andrade in a competitive but clear decision.
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same boat on this one. I think Tisha Torres has shown quite a bit of improvement since that Rose Namajunas loss, which I'm pretty sure might have been the only loss on a record besides like losing, I guess, on the Tough House. But Andrade, I mean, I think the last fight that she had with Claudia Gadelha pretty much summed it up for me. I think it showed a lot of improvements in her game. Her wrestling looked phenomenal. Her offensive output was fantastic. And she was just able to control that fight and wear Claudia Gadelha down. When it comes to Tisha Torres, though, she's just not really active. And I think you touched on that too. Andrade is very active with just her aggression, pushing forward, trying to land combinations. And you mentioned it too. She doesn't land a lot sometimes when she's pushing forward like that, but the output does get her some strikes to land. And Tisha Torres, I mean, she's been a decent defensive striker, but then again, her takedown defense hasn't been great either. And I feel like Andrade might be able to work some takedowns in there too, and probably squeezes out the decision victory. Torres is pretty tough. I don't know though if she's going to be able to get the job done here. Maybe if Andrade gasses out, but I don't recall Andrade ever really gassing out in any fights. Maybe the Angela Hill fight, but that's because she pretty much worked her. And for the first opening two rounds, excuse me, and just kind of kept going for it. But I don't really want to add too much more to this. I think Andrade is just a little bit better in the striking and also the grappling and the wrestling. And I think that's how she's going to be able to get the job done. So Andrade is my pick here. I think Torres might start off strong, but Andrade definitely takes over, or maybe the other way around. I feel like both are a possibility, but like I said, Andrade I think is a little bit better, a little bit more technical, and for those reasons, I'm going to give her the decision nod over Tisha Torres.
Yeah, give me Jessica Andrade here as well. We are in full agreement for the Orlando co-main event. Not too shocking, I don't think. Andrade, I mean, I did a column for Bloody Elbow at the very end of last year, predicting all the champions at the end of this year. Jessica Andrade, I wrote down as my strawweight champion, and so I'm high on her. Everybody should be high on her after that Claudia Gadelha win, which actually kind of did surprise me, but showed that Andrade might, as Jed said, be the best strawweight on the planet. I think that other than, I mean, it's sort of a triangle because I think she would beat Rose, and I think Joanna would beat Andrade, and so who knows, Rose, Joanna, all that, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but I think she's going to beat Tisha Torres. I think she's just more vicious. At the end of the day, I mean, Tisha Torres could be able to work. I mean, she's not a very big fighter. I mean, Andrade has the size advantage. I feel like even still, Torres might be able to work some sort of striking game. She's pretty good off her back foot, but she just doesn't have the range that Joanna has. And so Joanna did great work against Andrade, super dominant performance, 50-45 across the board, but I'm not sure if Torres can do that simply because she's not nearly as long as Joanna. She doesn't have a huge reach advantage. She actually has a reach disadvantage. I think Andrade can bust her up. I think she can take her down, even though Torres herself is a very good wrestler. I think Andrade is probably just better. She's stronger too. I think that's going to be that.
Wesley, are you still here?
I'm still here. I think we lost Nicholas.
All right, that's okay. He was going to end up picking Andrade for the exact same reasons we did. We don't like Nick anyway, as he's over there frozen in the corner with a big doofus look on his face. So, yeah, that means a clean sweep. Wes, do you know what's happened?
I know what's happened, and I hate to say it, but we have the same picks.
I think we're really bummed. I feel like our main event might be – I don't know.
I think we will, but I think I'm going to take the other person just for the sake of the show, but he's not going to be my real pick.
Well, look, so if you pick who you want to pick, because it doesn't, because I'm okay with it. Because if you have the same picks, then I can't lose the belt to you.
And that's why I have to go something different, because I have to try something different.
As I say, the impetus is on you to change, or else I get to keep the title. I'm okay with that. If you want to give me another belt, I'm fine to take it. I'm definitely
going to take a long shot with it, especially if he loses, which he probably will. But I'll be down by 2, but I'd rather be down by 2 by taking a risk than to do the exact same thing, even though that's kind of what my brain and heart are telling me. But we can't do that, man. We got to save the show.
I like it. I love your enthusiasm to come out throwing haymakers. So lead into who you're going to take then. Let's see how this shakes out. The main event, we have Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens walking first because Josh Emmett, off the back of one win, not even in the featherweight division, mind you. I want that to be clear. That fight was contested at 148.5 pounds. It was not a featherweight fight. Josh Emmett knocked out Ricardo Lamas in brutal fashion in the first round. And now we have this, maybe title implications on the line. Not really. We all know that the winner of this isn't getting a title shot. But the winner of this is going to be one win away from a title shot right there. They're going to be plugged in against, maybe the Frankie Edgar winner if Max decides he wants to pull a Connor or something. So Nikolai has rejoined us. Wes, I don't even care that Nick's back because you can lead. You know what? Actually, screw that because I took over the show in your absence. Nick, why don't you tell us who's going to win tomorrow night's main event?
Well, first off, before I give you guys my final prediction, I absolutely love when I'm live on air doing a podcast, and I actually finished up asking Wes who was going to win, and then I didn't hear a response, so I was about to go to the Hangout link to see if Wes's mic was muted. My cursor didn't move, and then all of a sudden, blue screen, and that was that. So computer, technical difficulties, internet, whatever it is, at its finest. Thank you for taking over the show as you usually do, Jed. Okay. Josh Emmett, Jeremy Stevens, super fun one. I don't mind this being the main event because I think this will go all 5 rounds, and that sounds like a fun fight to me. Anyways, I know Andrade Torres 5 rounds could be good as well. I think Emmett Stevens can actually be a super fun one. I'm going to go Jeremy Stevens, though, here. I think he's the right pick. I think he's a bit more active on the feet. Emmett puts together his combinations pretty well. I think he's getting better at that over time, but he's still sort of a one-punch guy, looks for big looping punches. He's technical, but I feel like his combos need a bit of work. Jeremy Stevens is a veteran. He's been around for so long. As you said, Jed, in your rant off the top about the Kevin Iole article, I think Stevens, his veteran savvy can come into play. I think he's just going to be able to pick apart Josh Emmett on the feet. He has more experience in 5-round fights, I think. I would assume. Now, so he did fight Doo Ho Choi in the main event earlier this year. I can't think of a time when he went in 5 rounds. I would almost have to assume he has, though, just the amount of fights and experience he has. Josh Emmett, though, has not gone 5 rounds. Yes, he has on the local circuit, I think, but his cardio isn't great. And the cut down to 145 is always tough for him. He made weight this time, so that was good, unlike before the Ricardo Lamas fight. But I think the cardio could come into play. I think Stevens just will thrive in this fight. I think he's going to be able to outpoint him on the feet over the course of 25 minutes. So give me Jeremy Stevens, Lil Heathen, by unanimous decision.
Well, we talked about it when you were missing, Nick. I've got to make a bold pick on this one because I do not want to have to draw with the current champ. I have to take a risk on this one, and because I know he's going to pick Jeremy Stevens, I'm going to take Josh Emmett. He's not my real pick, as in I'm not picking him on UFC.com or MMA Playground. I'm kind of being a coward, so I'm sorry. But I got to take a risk on this one. Just for the sake of the show, as I mentioned, I do think Josh Emmett has a chance in this one, and I wouldn't say it because of the last fight. I feel like just Jeremy Stevens, I think he's a decent athlete, but I feel like they have pretty similar styles in the fact that they sometimes mix it up with takedowns, but they also like to stand and trade on the feet. They both rely quite a bit on combinations inside the pocket rather than kind of standing back and letting one fighter trade and then looking for a counter. So I feel like they have really similar fighting styles, which I think could definitely make this a potential fight of the night. Could go all 5 rounds. We've never seen Emmett in any serious trouble in any of his fights. Jeremy Stevens, we've only seen him, I'm pretty sure, finished one time by strikes, and it was definitely to Yves Edwards. I remember he got knocked out in that one, and I don't know if he's been finished besides that, but I think by submission to Lozon, and then I don't know about the rest of his career, but he usually loses by decision. I think there's a chance Stevens, I think, Nick, you mentioned it, his activity might be able to get him the win here. But I feel like if Emmett's just able to fire back some off-put too, and just maybe be able to do a little bit more work in the pocket right there, maybe he could pull off a victory. And it's crazy. I hate saying it because he just lost to Desmond Green, and nothing against Desmond Green. I like the guy. But, I mean, this was literally last year.
But
Jed's
he's
going to say
Desmond fucking Green.
he's Desmond Green. He's not a Jeremy Stevens. And also the fact, Jed, you'll say this, and I'll say it too, the fact that Emmett missed weight, knocked a guy out who's definitely great caliber. I mean, Ricardo Lamas is no joke. But he knocked him out, and then he gets ranked 4th in a weight class that he didn't even fight in. That's just ridiculous to me. I mean, that kind of shows like the rankings are definitely not an accurate representation of your skill set, unless you're probably the champion. But besides that, I mean, it's definitely going to be a risk. But as I said, I got to make it interesting, so we don't all have the same picks, and so I actually have a chance of winning this belt. So Josh Emmett's going to be my pick. I'm going to take him by, I guess, a decision. I mean, he's been 5 rounds before. Jeremy Stevens has been 5 rounds, I guess, one time with Cub Swanson. So, I mean, they both have the experience going to those championship rounds. It's just, I wonder how their cardios are going to hold up. We haven't really seen a lot of Stevens there in the last 2 rounds. Same with Emmett. Could be interesting, but I'm going to take Emmett just for shits and giggles, and I'm going to take him by, I guess, a unanimous decision. We'll get 48-47 across the board, just a competitive fight, probable fight of the night. But I think it'll be good nonetheless.
I'm bringing it home. It's so exciting. I'm never in position to be the last one to go. You are correct. I am going to take Jeremy Stevens in this one, Wes. A lot of my points have already been made, so I won't rehash those ones. The things I will say about this fight, I think Josh Emmett can win, mainly because no one really has any fucking idea what Josh Emmett how Josh Emmett looks when he's really fighting. The alpha male guys speak extremely highly of him, and they expect really big things out of him. So he might be really good. We just haven't seen that actually manifest itself in the cage. But for one, very nice, enormous uppercut. And that's it. Like you said, he lost to Desmond Green. Desmond Green's Desmond Green. I think about this fight a little bit like I think of the Barao-Kelleher fight, in that Kelleher is more of an unknown quantity, but the difference here between Barao and Stevens for me is that I know what Stevens is going to do. Stevens is a relatively reliable guy at this stage of his career. And one of the similar things that I think both of the kind of veteran guys, as you want to say, have going for them, if it's a tool they rely on, will be leg kicks. Both of them do throw very good leg kicks. I know Jeremy Stevens is going to throw leg kicks in this fight. He's going to use them frequently. He's going to use them all the time, and it's going to be a consistent source of offense, a way to set tempo for him to kind of get in a groove and a rhythm that when there's over the course of 25 minutes, it just kind of lets him add points and build on something to create the kind of structure of a win here. If Emmett wrestles a lot, I think maybe he could have success there. He's a good wrestler. Jeremy Stevens is not a great defensive wrestler. He's a good one, not a great one. But the other factor here is cardio. Josh Emmett looks like he's had some cardio issues over 15-minute fights. He's getting an extra 10 on the back here. Jeremy Stevens, despite occasionally throwing just straight up Hadoukens at people, has never really had gassing issues. So just a lot of small boxes ticking for Jeremy Stevens here. I won't be shocked if Josh Emmett really is what the alpha male guys seem to think he is, and he comes out, and Jeremy Stevens, who is a little older and never has been a great fighter, has been a good fighter, a top 8-ish kind of guy in this division for a minute now, but has lost to the biggest steps up in competition he's had for the most part. Won't shock me, but I just like the little touches here, just enough to edge him out over the course of this. And look, I mentioned it earlier, but I think that there's a real thing here. Josh Emmett gets to walk last. He is not the favorite in the bookmaker's eyes, but he is the guy he's the final walk to the ring. And that's kind of a slight on Jeremy Stevens, who has fought 30 times in the UFC, or however many times he's fought in the UFC, who's made his bones in this organization and deserves the right when facing an up-and-comer with a handful of fights who really shouldn't be where he is. Like, I think he might look at that and be like, This is bullshit. And I'm going to show you guys why I'm supposed to be the last guy. I'm going to show you who the fuck I am, regardless of what Conor McGregor says. He's going to come out. I think he's going to be able to land big punches and kind of just dictate the pace of the fight with leg kicks and with the cleaner, kind of more veteran striking game. So give me Jeremy Stephens by decision over the course of 25 minutes. And we now have picked differently for a fight, Wes. So one of us can win. Either of us can win.
Nick, it's
you
likely
can't
you.
But neither of you will at the end of the day.
No, Nick, you're going to lose, but that's okay.
It would be okay, but not going to happen. So, anyways, let's move on to DraftKings. No, we do bonuses first. Let's go to underdog pick of the week, post-fight bonuses. Wes, who are your picks for these?
I guess I only picked. Well, I'm picking 3 since I took Emmett. I guess
Emmett, Kelleher, and Shelton are your underdogs.
Yeah, and
I guess
just for what it's worth, we'll count Alex Perez as a favorite, and Eric Shelton as the dog, just to make that easy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm definitely not confident really in Josh Emmett, to be honest. I'm feeling more confident in Eric Shelton, so I'm going to take Eric Shelton. It could be a close fight. I mean, I feel like all of them have a chance, to be honest, but I think Shelton with his wrestling game can get the job done, so he's going to be my underdog. And do you want me to do my fight of the night as well now?
Yeah, do all your bonuses.
I'll go with my fight of the night. I'm going to take I was tempted to go Perry Griffin, but then again, Griffin's chin, I don't know about that. I'm going to take the main event. I think Jeremy Stephens, Josh Emmett's going to be pretty fun, especially the fact it's 5 minutes. And sometimes, of course, the 5-minute fight is the one that gets the bonuses. So that's my fight of the night. My 2 performances. I'm going to give one to Mike Perry. I think we all might give one to Mike Perry. I feel like it could be pretty brutal, especially if that fight is fun and it doesn't get fight of the night. I feel like whoever does win is going to get a bonus. Since I picked Mike Perry, I'll give him a bonus. And, man, Joe Bane could do some stuff, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper on the card. I want to say Hana Yaya, but I'm going to take Marcin Frachino. I think he's going to be able to stop Sam Alvey in the fight now that it's light heavyweight especially, and he's so offensively sound. I think that he might be able to get a brutal finish in that one there in his UFC debut. So those are my bonuses and my underdog pick of the week.
Nick, what about you?
Oh, you're really going last on all these, aren't you? Okay. For my underdog pick of the week, I have one underdog. It is Russell Doan, so he has to be my underdog pick of the week. My bonuses, the main event will be fight of night, Josh Emmett versus Jeremy Stephens, Story West, but we have to agree on that one. Other choice would be Perry Griffin, but I think it'll be a bit too short. So instead, I'll give a performance of the night also to Mike Perry, but we will differ a little bit, Wes. My other performance of the night will go to Alan Jouban.
Man, you guys are killing me. So as an olive branch to you, Wes, since you're in a bind and had to sort of take Josh Emmett.
Out of curiosity, did you have the exact same bonuses as I did?
No. Well, underdog, I definitely don't.
Than that,
yeah. No, because I hadn't quite decided on my performance bonuses. I'll get there. Wes, since you are being forced into taking Josh Emmett, even though you don't want to, I'm gonna be a gentleman. We both have the same underdogs picked. Otherwise, I feel much more confident that Eric Shelton's gonna get the win, but I'm feeling spicy. I'm going to take Kelleher as my underdog pick of the week over Hidden Barral, because if he does win, it's an even more impressive underdog pick, just so we're throwing that out there. My fight of the night, I'm going Perry Griffin. I think you guys have a pick in the main event's never wrong, but if Perry Griffin lasts more than a round, it's going to be your fight of the night. That's my feeling on it. If Max...
That was my sense last week, too. The exact same thing. I kind of went for the fight I thought would be between 2 scrappy guys, and neither got finished. So I like your judgment on that.
Yeah, like if somehow Max Griffin has, like, his chin just gets real good overnight, or like he hurts Mike Perry early, and so Perry has to battle back, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for that thing to be a friggin' barn burner. And the only other fight that I would really consider taking would be the co-main event, since it's high-level fighters, except for Ortiz Torres is probably never, ever, ever going to win a post-fight bonus like that. So give me Perry Griffin for fight of the night. My performances, though, those are tough for me, because originally I have written down right now Perry and Prachino. But then Wes picked it, so I was like, well, maybe I'll change it to Perry and Joban because I'm also feeling that. But that's Nick. Nick's on the Joban. So
this is why you don't want to go last, my friend.
No,
Gotta go, Hani.
No. I don't feel even crazy confident, honey. So I'm gonna go with what I had written originally. I don't have to scratch it out. I'm gonna take Mike Perry, double bonus winner, and I think Prachnio is gonna knock out Sam Alvey. It's gonna be dope. And so I'm gonna take Prachnio as well. So Wes and I have different main events and different underdog picks, so that's fine. Yeah, those are our bonuses. So who wants to lead us off in DraftKings?
Last order of business. Wes, why don't you go first?
I think you should lead us off, Nick, since you got worst in DraftKings. We should go worst to first, So why don't you take the stage? I feel like that's the thing we should do.
Fair enough. Well, my DraftKings team, I've been swishing it all week. I sat down on Wednesday for like 10 minutes and really thought about it. I guess for 10 minutes, that's not too much, but I've been swishing it a ton. So what I have right now, I'm kind of confident in it. So I think this is what I'm going to end up with.
Wes says he's feeling good about his team too. This is exciting because I don't feel good about my team at all.
So my team is going to start off with three big favorites, actually. Alan Jouban, Mike Perry, and Marcin Prachnio. I'm also going to take my main event winner in Jeremy Stevens. I feel confident enough that he'll pick up some good points over 25 minutes. And then rounding out with some big underdogs, Russell Doan, who I'm picking, and Tisha Torres, who I'm not picking, but I think the Andrade fight could be some sort of competitive. It was basically her or Marion Renault, and I feel like there's a better chance of Torres getting, say, 30 points. There's a good chance Renault gets like 10 just because she doesn't do much offense and gets taken down all the time. And so that's sort of my train of thought for Torres. But I had a bunch of different options. The first team I had Josh Emmett in it, which was a little weird. Before tonight, I had Doan, Jouban, Perez, Perry, and Renault Stevens. So I had a couple different. So I've been all over the place. But those 6 fighters I mentioned second go are what I have right now.
It's not a bad looking team, especially if one of those underdogs cashes for you. Could be very competitive then. Wes, what are we looking at? The team you say you feel is pretty solid.
I feel like it's pretty solid. I could be a little overconfident. And I'll lead it off with the guys I'm not 100% confident in. The first being Josh Emmett. I took him because he was pretty cheap, but I do think he has a chance in this one. Plus, it is a 5-round fight. I feel like you got to choose somebody in the main event. And the fact that these two really don't get quite a bit of knockouts, I feel like there's definitely a probability if we see a decision, they'll rack up some points. So I've got him. My second not so confident pick, but if he keeps it on the feet, I got Brian Kelleher. I thought he was pretty cheap. And if Henan Barrow is as falling as we've seen, and Kelleher is able to keep this one standing or just be a little bit more technical, I guess, in a sense, and maybe have the better cardio, I think he gets the job done. And then I'll go into all my other picks. I have Alan Jouban. I think he'll get a knockout there in that fight. Sarah McMahon, I think she'll work a bunch of takedowns, and she'll be able to get the job done in that one. I've got Eric Sheldon, an underdog, but again, those takedowns, he's got some pretty good ground and pound. I think he might be able to get the job done in that one. And then I've got Marcin Prachnio, or however you say his name. Prachnio, I probably should say. I think he'll be able to knock out Sam Alvey. I don't have Mike Perry on my team, and it was kind of for the reasons, Max Griffin hits hard too. I really don't think you should count him out of that fight, to be honest. So it was just a little bit risky, but I feel like takedowns too are going to score points, and that's kind of what I was shooting for with this team.
Wow. Well, we have a very similar team, Wes. So looking at it, all three of us have Jouban and Prachnio on our squads. But Wes, you and I also share Kelleher and Shelton. Makes sense. We both picked them as underdogs to win. And they are certainly DraftKings underdogs. Certainly. There's no contest as far as that goes. Shelton on DraftKings will only cost you $7,500 smackaroos, whereas Alex Perez is $8,700 on DraftKings. So it's clearly an underdog in the DraftKings world. You and I share those four. Where we differ And I am going to caveat this, almost 100% chance I change my team before tomorrow because I am not confident. I hate my squad a little bit. I'm rounded out with Ovince St. Preux and Angela Hill. Both fighters I think are going to win. And the only kind of other fighters I could get to make the money work, but I don't have Mike Perry on my team. And I really feel like Mike Perry should get you some money there.
Do you have Andrade?
No, I don't. And I don't have, if you noticed, I don't have a fighter in the main event. And I have preached over our time in DraftKings that you should always get a main event fighter, but I don't know that I'm going to put Jeremy Stephens on my team. I kind of looked at the numbers, and my sort of take on this particular fight is that Jeremy Stephens is going to win, but I think the fight is going to look like when he beat Henan Barao, and that performance got him 58 points, which is not a good performance by DraftKings. Now, he would get 2 extra rounds to put up some points there, assuming it goes a full 5, but even if he adds in an extra, 20 strikes around, that's only going to get him up to 70, maybe 85 points, somewhere in there. An okay, respectable showing, but at the cost he is, it's 8,600. I can't really make the math work and have a team like the rest of the filler on my team that I'm comfortable with. So I just don't feel like he's kind of worth the value, even if I do think he's going to win and he's getting 5 rounds to work. I still just think he's not going to get as many points as these other people. So I'm leaving him off my team. We'll see if that ends up staying. And if it does, man, it's going to be I'm going to feel really good about defending my belt if I can pull this off, because I don't like this team at all.
All right. Well, I think that does it. Are we all good?
That wraps.
All right. Before the battle, episode 101. UFC Orlando, UFC on Fox 28 edition of the program. Thank you all for watching, whether you're watching live right now on YouTube or you're watching the replay after the fact. Thank you all. We really appreciate it. Go give this video a thumbs. What is that, Jed?
Do we have any YouTube questions? I don't know. I never checked the YouTube, so I just don't know if we have.
We have 0 questions.
Wow, bitches. You guys suck. Come on, be better fans.
Although someone did drop a comment, Jason Kim, he says nice and 2 thumbs up. So thank you for at least leaving a comment. Give us a thumbs up down there.
You're dope.
Give us a thumbs up down there. We would appreciate that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel down there. And if you have any feedback for the channel, I guess you have about 3 minutes to drop something in the YouTube chat or go down in the comment section down below after this is all wrapped up and leave a comment there. I would appreciate that as well. Jed, remind everybody where they can find you and your MMA coverage.
You can find me at MMAfighting.com. I'll be writing for there until I'm dead or they fire me. Yeah, that's it. Follow me on Twitter, Jed Meshew. I tweet things. Sometimes I tweet a lot of things during fights. Lately, I've been doing a lot better at not just tweeting every thought I have because I feel it as an outlet. And I'm giving you a higher quality of tweet now. So I'm working on my tweet quality, trying to focus on quality over quantity so much on fight nights. We'll see if I can keep that going tomorrow for a card that I very well might just DVR and watch later because it's not captivating television.
Real quick, what's more likely? You write it for MMA fighting until you die, or do they fire you first?
I would assume they fire me first because I'm a little bit surprised that I haven't fucked up enough for them to be like, dude, you can't say these things. So pretty shocking. But still trudging in there, coming up on 2 years. So suck it, haters. What if I have them? I assume I have haters. And if
Mookie Alexander counts as 1, right?
Well, Mookie Alexander counts as half of 1. He's a child, just like you.
Well, me and Mookie make 1 hater together.
Yeah, suck it, you 2 haters. I'm still strong at the #1 site for mixed martial arts coverage in the world, MMAfighting.com.
Wes?
Well, nothing much else to add. I don't know how you can hate either of these two because I chill with them all the time, and they're pretty dope.
You can hate me because you ain't me, because I got 3, count them, 3 10-pound belts around my waist. And my
Hey,
shoulder.
hold on 1 second. Wes Riddle over at MMAsucker.com. He won the staff predictions for 2017, and he got a real belt. Wes, do you have it at all nearby?
It's not here. I'm back in my dorm, but I do have it at home, and I will definitely, if I can, show in one of the episodes just to show how good of a year I had last year. But this year's not too good. Off to a really bad start, honestly. So I'm gonna need to show some improvements. So hopefully I have some people backing me up on that. But besides that, my name is Wesley Riddle. You can find me on Twitter at AllThatMMA. You can find my writing at MMAsucker.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at Wesley Riddle. All different ways that I like to stay in communication with everybody out there. Besides that, thanks for having me on the show. It was a good night, good way to spend a Friday, to be honest. I kind of like just chilling and talking fights. But I hope you all have a good night. Everybody watching, both Jed and Nick, always a pleasure.
You guys can find me on the Twitter at Nick Baldwin MMA. Feel free to drop me a message. I'll probably respond. Maybe I'll even follow you, but there's a chance I don't do either the two things. But follow me nonetheless at Nick Baldwin MMA on the Twitter. Feel free to give my Facebook page a like. I think you can find it facebook.com/Nick Baldwin MMA. That sounds right to me. My Instagram account, I do a little bit on it. It's Nick Baldwin MMA as well. All of my social media is pretty easy to find. Go check out my work over at bloodyelbow.com. That's where you can find all my writing. I will have an interview piece with Leslie Smith up tomorrow. I'm working on it. It's not quite done. It's 11:15. So count on it being up tomorrow. There's a chance it won't be. Tonight I interviewed Stephen Ray, who recently re-signed with the UFC. He'll be fighting Keegan Johnson in his return next month. Yesterday I talked to the Bellator Bantamweight champion Darren Caldwell, who has a fight coming up against Leandro Higo next week at Bellator 195, his first title defense. I also talked to Alexander Volkanovski, who was beat Jeremy Kennedy at UFC 221 earlier this month. Tomorrow, I have interviews with Ally Quinta, with the aforementioned Leandro Higo, and with the victorious Patricky Pitbull. Those will all be up on this YouTube channel and bloodyelbow.com in the very near future. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. For Jed Meshew,
excuse me, sir, I have 3 things to say before you sign us off. 1, we should totally do these on Friday nights more. It's way better for me in life when there's not Bellators. 2, you can follow me on Snapchat. I'm now way more active in my Snapchat game, and basically my Snapchat is me driving super sick cars around all day. So you can do that if that's something you're interested in. Jay Meshew. And 3, love you guys.
You are now officially a teenager, more particularly a teenage girl.
3, love you guys.
You need to do that at the very end. Anyways.
Love you guys. And Wes Riddle just followed me on Snapchat. So
I sure did. I'm a step ahead of it.
Well, I'm on the way to it, but Wes Riddle knows
Snapchat more than I do. That's right, Wes. Way to have my back, buddy.
I love you guys.
Are you Jed K. Meshew?
Just Jay Meshew.
Jay Meshew. Okay. That's why. I never remember it. Okay, I got to do this. Okay, add. Done. There you go. You have a new fan on Snapchat.
Go check my story. I was driving a fucking sick car today.
All right. For Jed Meshew, for Wes. Oh, 1 sec. Real quick. Me and Jed will be doing a post-fight show tomorrow night. That is the plan. Last week I said we were going to do one for Cerrone Medeiros. We did not. But this week should happen tomorrow night. Fox card, and so it'll end early, and so we'll be not super tired and all that. So that'll be fun. Not for Andrew Lawrence. He's not here. For Jed Meshew, Wes Riddle, I'm Nick Baldwin. Enjoy the fights tomorrow night.
Love you guys.